I hate being the bearer of bad news, but today I once again am tasked with being the bearer of bad news. So this is an official statement from the Steam team, the team that is behind accepting or rejecting games on their platform. And I'm going to read this statement from an official Steam employee, and then I'm going to showcase why they rejected it in the first place. And then we're going to talk about the situation and how everything else that's been going on with Steam, censorship of the internet, age verification, brand protection, think of the kids, all this type of stuff, how it kind of all comes together into one just massive mess. So let's read this. If you look long enough, I'm sure you'll find plenty of other partners who are breaking our rules and guidelines. Focusing the topic of the image on a woman's behind is indeed sexual in nature, regardless of what she's wearing. Your graphical assets can be viewed by everyone on the platform and should be appropriate for the store. Cheers. Their name was censored. Now, I need to give context here to what image or game they're talking about before we really dive into the conversation and just kind of how bad this situation actually is. So what they're talking about is this in particular from this game studio, Aftermath Z game. It's Red Pine Line. I want to be honest with you, I'm not really aware of them. Like, I wasn't aware of them before all this stuff started happening a few days ago, and it just really blew up today thanks to their official statement showcasing what Steam had to say about why the game was actually rejected in the first place. But let's get back into their initial post. This image is the reason our Steam page has not been approved. This image is now classed as too mature, according to Steam, so now we cannot have the page ready in time for the event. It would need to censor our marketing, screenshots, etc. This is what censorship is coming to in the gaming industry, and we have to ask now, is it worth it for them to move the goalpost down the line? We could have it all remade and hope they accepted it, but where will it stop? We would need to redo the networking too if we move platform, but do you really want a censored game? We don't. Anyone know of any platform they recommend or publishers that can handle mature content? Let us know. We are also sorry about this. We worked hard to get something ready that we can't even share, but we do have one thing that is playable that we will announce for Halloween. And as you can see here, this is the image. This single image is why Steam rejected their release on their store page. Focusing the topic of the image on a woman's behind is indeed sexual in nature, regardless of what she's wearing. So let me give a good example on why this statement from the Steam staff is really bad. First off, that image that I just showed that apparently got the game rejected, what this statement is saying is if that character was fully clothed, there was no skin showing, the game would still be rejected because of that image. And once again, I want to point this out. She's not even in the center frame. She's not like dead center, like plastered full in your face. She's on the side of the image. The wording's on top and all that. You see the water and all that. It's a very basic image. And the fact of the matter is that it's implied that this image alone, even if the character was fully clothed, like there was literally no skin, like her backside wasn't showing any skin, you would get your game censored. Like your game would be rejected on Steam because of this image. And that is the problem here with this Steam statement, like the statement from this employee. And this instantly makes me start thinking about what's been happening as of late, at least in just the last week alone. For those that are unaware, there has been a lot of games that have been trying to come out on Steam that are Japanese related, by the way, that have been getting rejected for another reason or that, basically just out of nowhere, just completely out of the blue. Their release on the Steam page is rejected and they can't even release the game to everyone to see, and they have to go to alternative sites or alternative, platforms to be able to release their game. This has happened like 3 to 4 times at this point now, and it's honestly pretty concerning. And as I've already made a video a few days ago, it straight up feels like it's targeting the Japanese. It's targeting Japanese creators, Japanese game creators and all that. It kind of feels racist and xenophobic to a degree. I've already went all into that in a previous video, so I'm not going to retread old ground. But the point of the matter is that it's very obvious that when I take a look at this situation, and now I look at this statement from a Steam employee, I feel like there is people within their staff, their moderation staff, that are compromised. They are pushing an agenda. They are trying to willy-nilly censor things, whatever they want. If they don't like it, they're going to censor it. They will go out of their way to target a certain series, but if it's probably content they're fine with, they'll let it fly under the radar. I mean, Steam even this employee acknowledges that you can find plenty of other partners who are breaking our rules and guidelines. They straight up admitted they are aware of it and know people do it, and regardless, they're still focusing on this one creator. And obviously, there's thousands upon thousands of games, don't get me wrong, but the point of the matter is, it's very clear that whoever this employee is at the very least, they have some form of agenda, not just on, let's say, adult games, but also just on a woman being able to dress however she wants. This entire statement from this employee is pretty much saying that if a woman is wearing any clothes and she's in a image to where you can just see her whole backside, like from her top of her head to the bottom where her feet are, you are sexualizing her. That is a problem. That is actually insane. That is what this employee is saying. Like, I'm not gonna lie, someone like this does not deserve to be in the staff, moderation staff. They don't. They honestly, might be hot take, people might be upset when we say this, they need to be fired, replaced. And I hope that this is just one bad apple out of like maybe hundreds of employees that they have. But judging by what we have been seeing as of late with a bunch of anime games as well, or Japanese games getting censored or removed on Steam just randomly, I'm willing to bet you there is a lot of people behind this. And I feel like one of the other driving reasons to why this is becoming more and more rampant and more noticeable is probably because of payment processors. It all circles back to that. Now, I'm not trying to let Steam off the hook with this one. This is actually Steam's fault here. This is not fully payment processors. I'm just going to say that. But I do think that a lot of companies, a lot of, internet sites and stuff like that are now censoring things. They are self-censoring and going way too far with the censorship because they're concerned that they're going to face some form of fines or issues or regulation issues from these different governments that are enforcing online safety acts, aka the UK, and what they're doing or what's going on in EU or Australia. You get the point. I feel like that's what's going on here, but in turn you have these activists and these people that have other ideas, using this as an excuse to censor certain games, anything they want basically, and get away with it, and try to wave away the guilt because it's like, oh, it's the payment processors that are doing it. That's what I think is kind of going on here with some of these cases. Which, by the way, I am curious if this Steam employee would say the exact same thing about a guy. Like, for example, let's say this image, instead of it being a woman on the cover, let's say it was a guy. Would it pass? Would it be allowed? Let's be honest, okay, guys? Yes, it would. It would. It's very obvious that whoever decided this decision thinks that just showing any form of skin, and even if they're fully clothed, is sexualizing a woman. That says a lot about them over anyone else. That's all I'm going to say. Regardless, I think that this is a pretty bad situation because there is many examples that Steam is becoming a little bit more censor happy as of late. They've always censored certain things here and there over the years, but it's definitely becoming a little bit more noticeable. It's definitely becoming more common, and it's definitely becoming harder for people to create adult games and release them on the platform. I have definitely noticed that. There's a lot of people that are getting rejected with the whole update with you can't add content and all that on adult games with free updates or patches. It's very obvious there is stuff going on behind the scenes, and I feel like whatever's happening here, Steam might be compromised. But I'll leave it at that. Just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention because I thought this was very important to talk about because, obviously, I don't like censorship, and I hope that this, studio here that's making this game, they're able to kind of work this out and figure out what's going on. Hopefully, a Steam employee could give us some more insight on to what's truly going on here, but I'll leave it at that. I love you guys. Be safe. Leave a comment for the algorithm. Helps with the video to be noticed more. Chibi out.